Hey there, my name's Alex and I am a current student with Xiaogua Chinese, and I just wanted to come on here and share a little bit about my journey with Zhifei, Oscar, Weishan, Dolores, and the continuously growing team at Xiaogua. So my Xiaogua journey started in October of 2022. I had been following Zhifei's Xiaogua Chinese account for quite a long time at that point, and I loved her content and honestly loved her philosophical approach to language acquisition. She shares a lot of these little strategies and details on her account, and I just loved her content. So she starts posting, hey, we have this new intermediate fluency program, which immediately stood out to me because I felt like, hey, that's me right there. And she's like, DM me if you're serious, right? And I personally had never used Instagram as a tool to reach academic goals, or I just wasn't sure how legitimate Xiaogua's program was. Not to think that Zhifei wasn't legitimate, but I just wasn't sure like if it was right for me, right? So I was like, what have I got to lose? So prior to Xiaogua Chinese, my first experience with Chinese language was in undergrad, back in 2011. I had a random, few hour time slot. I needed the credits to fill out my full-time semester. And I was looking for a random class for this specific time slot, and Chinese was the only class, like Chinese 101. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, I need an easy class. I need to take that spot easy, so let's just do a little easy language filler class. It ended up being so fun. I ended up being pretty good at it. And my Chinese teacher at the time, she was like, hey, you have a knack for this. Like, just keep going. I know this isn't your major or minor or anything, but just give it a shot, right? So I took her advice, and that kind of officially started my language journey with Chinese. I continued to take a Chinese course every semester entirely through my undergrad. And once, I got to about 5 semesters of Chinese, I got a study abroad internship in Beijing at Beijing Normal University. And I was there for about 18 months. So I spent quite a long time in China. After I came back from living there for a little while as a student, I took the HSK4 and passed very solidly. And I would describe that as like my height in my Chinese learning. I felt very strong, very conversationally fluent, was speaking Chinese every single day. And I no longer felt like I was translating in my head. Like that intermediate step had been surpassed. So I felt very good in my Chinese, but that was back in like 2014, 2015, still many years ago from now. And after I graduated, as the story goes with many of us, I lost my exposure, right? So all these classes and programs and students and colleagues and groups, like I no longer was interacting with regularly. And my language atrophied. The skills atrophied. My vocabulary diminished to the point where I was no longer conversational at all. My listening comprehension was definitely the worst. I felt like I had all these, go-to phrases and certain things that never left me. Like they always stayed, but everything else faded away, right? So fast forward to 2022, and I'd essentially been attempting to self-study since 2015, 2016, when I graduated, and it with varying levels of success, but I would argue no success at all because, I wasn't conversationally, I wasn't able to apply all that I knew, all that was up here, all that I had learned previously. So by the time I reached out to Zhifei, I was frustrated with myself because, I'm pretty hard on myself, right? Like a lot of us language learners are, and I'd put in damn near 10 years into a language, and I felt like I had, quote, nothing to show for it. It just didn't feel equal, the amount of effort I was putting in. I knew that my methodology wasn't super solid, and I needed help. So I reached out to Zhifei, and I tell her all of this in our first little consult, and I'm super nervous because I don't know what to expect. I've never done an online language class. It's been many, many years since taking a Chinese class, and I was really insecure about my Chinese. Like, just did not feel conversationally adept at all. So Zhifei made me feel very comfortable and at ease during our consult. She did a quick, assessment and determined that I qualified for the class. So then comes Oscar meeting Oscar is a life kind of goal coach and really narrowing down the actual things I want to take away from the program. And after the conversation with Oscar, it was like, I gotta give this a try. Like, I owe it to myself to make all of this time and money and years of effort and just actual passion and desire. Like, let's just let it bloom. Let's bring it to fruition, right? So after that meeting with Oscar, made that first payment, was like, let's go. So things were pretty fast in the beginning, right? Like the first 2 to 3 months felt like, there was a lot of insecurity and struggle. I think for me personally, as a language learner, the confidence thing is very difficult for me. Even if I have all the tools in the toolbox, even if I know all of the pieces to the puzzle, actually applying it, putting it together with another native speaker, and having the confidence to make mistakes and just be like, you know what, it is what it is. I'm putting myself out here. That was very apparent in the first few months. Because I was gaining all of these skills and language back, but yet I'm still stuttering on the application, the follow through. So in the months that followed, leading up to where I am now, that confidence has just gone through the roof. Like, no longer do I even care what other people think. You know, it used to make me so self-conscious and quite upset when I would attempt to speak with native speakers, especially at my job. I work for a Chinese company. All of my colleagues are Chinese and speak Mandarin. So it was it's very applicable for my life right now. And prior to Xiaogua Chinese, they all knew that I knew Chinese, but I never spoke with any of them. Now it's, I'm always trying to put myself out there. I've had lots of good experiences. I've had a few really cringy ones that, I learned from regardless, taking failure as a mechanism for growth and just truly for what it is, which is a feedback tool, right? Failure isn't telling us that we're not worth it or that we're not going in the right direction. All it's saying is, hey, here's some feedback, use it accordingly, learn from it, and keep pushing. So being with Zhifei and Dolores and Oscar and Wei Shun and now Jiayun, like all these new teachers joining, the possibilities are endless as long as you have the actual passion and the drive to see it through, to see through this goal of language learning, right? I think one of my biggest accomplishments, like I said, with Xiaogua is the confidence, because all of us can learn vocab, all of us can learn grammar, all of us can get textbooks and like I said, get all the pieces to the puzzle, but not many people can actually put it together. Not many people can solve it on the spot, as spontaneous as language is, So that for me is one of the greatest takeaways, is that I'm learning amazing skills to just apply real time. Another example of a great accomplishment that Xiaogua has helped me achieve is actually learning some really solid linguistic theory, right? So, now I minored in linguistics in my last 2 years of undergrad, but to be honest with you, I've never had a chance in my career or my actual life to apply what I learned. And it was just great to, in the first few weeks and months of Xiaogua, learning these really deeply logical linguistical tools. For example, shadowboxing review, the concept of active and passive vocabulary, and truly harnessing those concepts and being consistent with them, right? So those are my two biggest takeaways from Xiaogua, that no matter where life takes me in the years that follow, I will always use those tools, right? I think that, right now I'm about halfway through the program, which again is a little slower than the typical trajectory of a student with Xiaogua, but I've had a lot of life hurdles that have been thrown at me during this period. Lots of health problems, lots of issues with my career having to be put on hold, and Xiaogua and Zhifei and Dolores and Oscar and Wei Shun, they have supported me in ways that go far beyond what an online language coach you'd ever expect them to provide. Just being completely honest with you, for example, I survived a cancer diagnosis during my Xiaogua journey. I was diagnosed about 2 weeks into class, and last week I officially went into remission. So Zhifei, Oscar, the whole team, they've been with me, holding my hand this entire time, allowing me to affect a pace that keeps me moving forward and keeps momentum, but didn't stress me, didn't push me out, didn't cause any breakdowns or truly any burnouts, right? So just the support that I've gotten from this group of people far transcends language and culture and academia. And so for those reasons, I think that this group, Zhifei, and what she's created with Xiaogua and all of the members, there's something really special here. And as it grows, I'm just really excited to be a part of the journey. And who knows, where I will be in the next few months after my journey with this intermediate level up program takes me. I would hope that I can continue to rely on Xiaogua as a program to assist me wherever my Chinese language, journey might take me. So while it's been a challenge, and still is every single day, right? I have to spend my hour every single day making the best of my consistency. But again, there's just so many takeaways that I will continue to build upon for the rest of my life. So if I could recommend, if anybody's on the fence, if anybody is like what the average target student of the intermediate program, which is somebody like me, we have a little bit of experience, we got our little beginning edge out of the way, but we really need the help and the guidance to take it to the next level. This is it. This is for you. This is for us. And push aside those fears of, is this right for me? Do I qualify? Because honestly, if you're thinking those thoughts, you probably do, right? Like I said, Xiaogua is going to help you build your confidence, and it's going to help remind you that, that is part of the journey itself. Transcending through the fear and the anxiety of doing something you don't know, and going places you've never been, and feeling feelings you've never felt. Like, it's all the beauty of it, right? So if you're on the fence, if you need that extra encouragement to decide if that's right for you, then here's your sign. If language is something that you're passionate about, but you just need that extra little help to get you over the hump, definitely consider Xiaogua Chinese as your support system for that next step. So again, my name's Alex, and as a current Xiaogua Chinese student, I am here to say that it has changed my perspective on language and linguistics for the better. I've learned life skills, not only language skills, and I'm forever grateful for Zhifei, Oscar, Dolores, Weishen, Jiaoyun, all the people that have helped to put this together. So, cheers.